What is dominating the African sport world currently? Afcon, obviously. But what is Afcon and how did it start? The Africa Cup of Nations, commonly abbreviated as Afcon and officially known as the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations for sponsorship reasons, is the main biennial international men's association football competition in Africa. Afcon was proposed during the Third FIFA Congress in Lisbon, in the creation of the Confederation of African Football, known as CAF in short, in June 1956. The tournament commenced in February 1957. The first Africa Cup of Nations was held in Khartoum, Sudan. There were only 3 of the 4 founders of CAF as participating teams, that is Sudan, Egypt and Ethiopia. South Africa was disqualified due to the apartheid government policies. They wanted to select only white players to represent them. Therefore, only 2 matches were held. Ethiopia proceeded to the final. Egypt defeated Sudan by 2-1 and won against Ethiopia by 4-0, crowning them as the first continental champions. 2 years later, in 1959, Egypt hosted the tournament in Cairo with the participation of the same 3 teams. Egypt defended and won the final against Sudan by 2-1. The tournament grew to having 9 teams when it was hosted in 1962 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and was the first time having a qualification round. Egypt made its 3rd consecutive final appearance, but the Ethiopian team emerged as victors, first beating Tunisia and then Egypt in extra time. Ghana dominated in the 1960s when they joined in 1963 and beating Sudan. In 1965, the CAF introduced a rule that limited the number of overseas players in each team to 2. The rule persisted until in 1982. The 70s are referred to as the years of champions because not just a single team was dominating, but 6 nations had won the African National Cup. The nations were Sudan, Congo-Brazzaville, Zaire, Morocco, Ghana, and Nigeria. In the 80s, Cameroon was dominating, went to the final 3 consecutive years, and won twice in 1984 and 1988. They lost in 1986 against Egypt. In 1992, the number of final tournament participants grew to 12. The teams were divided into 4 groups of 3, with the top 2 teams of each group advancing to quarter-finals. South Africa hosted the 20th African Cup of Nations in 1996, marking its first ever appearance after the abolishment of the apartheid government regime and after the ban lifted. They couldn't compete in 1994 because of the ban. The number of participants grew again from 12 to 16. However, only 15 nations participated because Nigeria withdrew for political reasons. Bafana won their first title on home soil, defeating Tunisia in the final. In the year 2000, Afcon was hosted jointly by Ghana and Nigeria, who replaced the originally designated host Zimbabwe because of political reasons. There's only 3 trophies that have been awarded during the tournament's history. The current trophy was first awarded in 2002. Egypt is the most successful nation in the Cup's history, winning the tournament 7 times, with Cameroon winning 5 times and Ghana 4 times. In January 2008, FIFA President Sepp Blatter announced that he wanted the tournament to be held in either June or July by 2016, because several European clubs raised concerns about players missing matches since Afcon was clashing with their European season. In May 2010, it was announced that the tournament would be moved to odd-numbered years from 2013 in order to prevent the tournament from taking place in the same year as the World Cup. In 2013, Libya could not host the Afcon because of the civil war, and they had to trade places with South Africa, then host it in 2017. There was no tournament in 2014 to 2015 due to the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Hence, Liberia was unable to host it because the Antoinette Tubman Stadium in Monrovia was converted into an Ebola treatment unit. This epidemic forced Morocco not to host Afcon in 2015 and was hosted by Equatorial Guinea. In 2016, Total secured the rights to an 8-year sponsorship package to support 10 of CAF's principal competitions. It began in 2017 in Gabon, when the tournament was renamed to Total Africa Cup of Nations. In the same year, 2 changes were approved under Ahmad Ahmad's presidency, switching the timing of the competition from January to the Northern Hemisphere summer to June, and expanding from 16 to 24 teams, effective 2017, from the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. The 2025 event is being held in December 2025 and January 2026, with the timing due to the new quadrennial FIFA Club World Cup tournament. On the 20th of December 2025, CAF made several announcements, including that the tournament would return to even-numbered years from 2028, and the African Nations League would commence in 2029. In addition, the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations is scheduled to be jointly hosted by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, followed by another edition in 2028 before the new 4-year cycle begins.